Lion King falls down and is trampled by the herd. The young lion, thinking that he is the cause of his father's death, and realizing there's no way he can explain this to his mother, the widow, and he is the widow's son, he leaves the kingdom. In the Bible and in history, it's represented by Seth, who conquers Babylon with an army and scatters Nimrod's college across the world. Across the world. It's also represented by the scattering of the tribes of Israel. The slain king represents the lost word, that which was lost, the doctrine. The widow represents the church. The church. The young lion who leaves the kingdom represents the scattered college. He is, in fact, the full body of initiates. Where does he go, folks? He goes out into the world lonely, without companions, without a place to go, without anyone to belong to. And he wanders until he finds two other outcasts. One, a little lemur. If you don't know what a lemur is, look it up in an animal book or an encyclopedia and you'll see a picture of one. A little lemur that talks exactly like a Jewish man from New York is imagined to talk and is parodied in many different ways. And I'm not saying that it's a correct parody, but it is the way this little lemur talks. And the other is a warthog, which represents all the downtrodden, ugly outcasts, the nerds, the people who have no place in the world, the handicapped. And they form a union. They come together. Of course, the little Jewish lemur represents the Kabbalah influence on the mysteries. The young lion king represents the full body of initiates. He is the child Horus. And the warthog represents all those who do not feel any allegiance or loyalty to any other body, who have joined this union, hoping that in the end they will be vindicated and will have their place in the sun. In the sun. And they wander about in the wilderness, seeking the promised land. Oh yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is really something. And of course they are persecuted and attacked. And the young lion fights off the attackers and protects the other two. This traditionally has been the kingdom of England, Great Britain, which is represented by a lion. This outcast trio represents British Israelism. The Queen of England is called by the mysteries the Queen of Babylon, and it's about time you knew that also. And they come across the young lioness, and he falls in love, this young lion. And she keeps telling him, remember who you are. And the monkey shows up and keeps telling him, remember who you are. And you hear it every night on WWCR following this broadcast and on many other broadcasts where some rabid preacher is exhorting to the white race, remember who you are. You are the real Israelites, and the world belongs to you. Listen, after I sign off tonight, you will hear it, ladies and gentlemen, I assure you. Remember who you are. And this monkey priest, I should say, and the young lioness keep urging him to go back and claim his rightful kingship. For he is the true king, they tell him. He is the descendant of the dead king, And they tell him that the dead king lives on in him. And they tell him to look into a reflecting pool to see. And there he is looking back at the young lion, his father, in himself. For he is the genetic duplication representing the white race. And what's being taught to your children, ladies and gentlemen, and shame on you for taking them to see these things which you have not assessed the meaning of prior. And the king says, no, I cannot because of my past. I cannot, I'm afraid. They'll know who I am and they'll know what I did. Talking about the bad things that existed in Babylon. He does not want to reveal who he is. And the monkey king represents the philosophy of the East, not the monkey king. I don't know why I keep saying that. The monkey priest, representing the religious philosophy of the East, smacks him upside the head with his staff, and the Lion King says, ouch, ouch, why did you do that? He says, it doesn't matter, it's in your past. And all of a sudden the young king understands. And so he says he will go back. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, and remember when this pact was made between Scar, the dark lion, and the hyenas, the dark lion representing Cain, and the hyenas representing the race of Cain, when they made this pact, and when the dark lion ascends to the throne of the kingdom, it happens on the pinnacle of an obelisk. And the crescent moon surrounds his head. And this branch of the mysteries, ladies and gentlemen, represents Marxism, communism, the Soviet Union, all of these things. The French Grand Orient Lodge of Freemasonry. And while this young lion was out wandering in the wilderness with his two friends, representing the Jewish people and the warthog, it actually doesn't represent the Jewish people because the Jewish people don't know any more than the Protestant people or anyone else, but it does represent the Jewish branch of the mysteries, which is B'nai B'rith and the Kabbalah. Don't go out and persecute Jews because they're no different than any of you, believe me. Back at the ranch, the kingdom is dying. All of the green trees die, all of the grass dies. The dark lion representing Cain, also representing the fisher king who is wounded between the thighs, has laid waste to the kingdom. What was his sin, ladies and gentlemen? His sin was the mixing of the races, according to these people. Remember, Walt Disney was a very famous Anglophile. It was many years before a black person was ever hired by Disneyland or any of Walt Disney's organizations or businesses. There was no food. The pastures dried up. The trees died. The kingdom became as the north, barren and wasted. Barren and wasted. And the young Lion King sings a song about he cannot wait to become the king and set everything straight. And he goes back, and there's a tremendous battle between the young king and Scar and the hyenas and the young Jewish lemur and the warthog and some other allies that showed up at the last moment. And there you see the fires raging, burning everywhere. And that is why you saw fire in Waco. That's why you saw fire with the MOVE group in Philadelphia. That's why you saw fire with the Symbionese Liberation Army when they were burned. That's why you saw fire during the Inquisition years as they burned their enemies at the stake. What is represented here is evil on all sides involved. The poor ignorant sheeple of the world who don't know what this means or how the battle is being waged or what it's all about are always the casualties